What's up, everybody? Today, I'm here with GM3. It's fight week for Belal Muhammad. And you train with Belal Muhammad, right?
Yeah, Belal Muhammad, and I'm cornering Charlie Radtke Saturday night.
Oh, I saw the comment. What did he say at the press conference? It was to full send.
Oh, yeah, it was like F you, F full send, you guys are going to be paying me, something like that. You guys, if anybody hasn't watched Charlie Radtke at the media day, what was it, yesterday, it's definitely worth a watch.
Was he kidding or was he serious? I was confused watching it.
You never know, man. You got to ask him. You'll have to get him on here.
So let's first go into fight week. How do you predict the fight's going for Belal Muhammad championship fight?
Belal, well, he's trained really hard this camp. Obviously, we had him and Charlie getting ready for fight at the same time. And we've had guys in the gym, for a while getting ready for fights. Ignacio Bahamondes had a fight. I had a fight not too long ago. So we've all been kind of in camp together through this whole thing. So they, both those guys have been training a lot, training really hard. And I know Belal was really, really hungry to get that first title defense and really start, his title run and his legacy at welterweight. So honestly, I think, obviously, most people are going to say win by decision, right? And that's kind of been what he does, is win by unanimous decision. But I think because Jack is the person and fighter that he is, he's so tough and hard-nosed that he's, even if he's behind, he will be willing to take chances and put himself in positions where it's kind of all or nothing. And I think that's going to lead to Belal getting a finish mid to late fourth round.
Like TKO, KO, submission. What are you feeling?
I would probably. It depends. It depends on how gassed he gets in the fight, because everyone knows Belal has great cardio, but you don't really understand it until you're the only other person in there and you got to deal with it the whole time, right? So, if it's a crazy scramble, I've been working a lot with Belal and trying to find the neck and like get some finishes. And if there's anybody that could help him do that, I feel like I got a pretty good skill set for that. So I think either he gets a TKO because he just doesn't see any good position to go to, or he tries to scramble and he gives up the neck and Belal gets rear naked.
Yeah. I posted already on Twitter, I think that he'll get a TKO. I think JDM will get tired, and then Belal just with his cardio. But the odds on that are actually outrageous. It's like plus 700 for him just to win by TKO, KO, or and then by submissions plus 500, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's good plus money on it if you're a betting man, and to that point, you'd have to go back and look. But pretty much, just speaking from personal experience, all my fights, I'm always ridiculous plus money to get submission, and that's the only way I win. You know what I mean? So like, it doesn't surprise me that he's big plus money on the TKO.
Yeah, I see that. And then also, there's rumors that if Belal wins, there's a chance that Islam would like to move up and fight him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, it kind of sounded like they had a mutual agreement that, they weren't going to fight each other. And I know it was either Islam or Khabib or both of them had like posted something and said that same thing. Saying it's one thing and then you get pushed enough, things can always change, right? And that's not saying that, because I don't know what was said between them. I don't know if there was like, something really, if they actually said like, oh, we won't fight you, or we probably won't fight, you know what I mean? So that's all speculation, but it sounded to me like they were kind of on the same page about like, if Belal has the belt, he's not going to try for it, but if Belal doesn't have the belt, he's going to try for it, which, to me means that like, if he wants 2 belts, he might have to go up to 85 because Belal is going to have that belt for a while.
Yeah. So speaking about that, vice versa, Belal said that he would like to move up to fight DDP. Is there any truth behind that, do you think?
I think he would. I mean, I know he wants to be, he truly wants to be the 170 GOAT, and there's a long, arduous climb for that even now. And like it starts on Saturday getting that first defense out of the way. But I think that's something where, I know the UFC is not big on guys defending both, like unless you're going to be super, super active.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he did do that, I don't know that he would want to stay at 85. So I think it'd be a conversation with the UFC. Like, is this going to be one big super fight and then you're going back down, or are you just moving up to 85? And from what it sounds like to me is he kind of wants to stay at 70. But if the DDP fight is there and it's a big money fight, I could see everybody agreeing to that. And then, maybe he moves up and Islam moves up, but who knows?
Yeah. So also recently what I've kind of seen is that, do you think there will be any more double champs? By the looks of it, UFC doesn't really want that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, to have a double champ that's actively defending both belts, that would seem unlikely because that person would have to like truly be an in-betweener on the smaller side and just, have really good strength or gas tank or something, right? But I think there'll probably be some double champs in terms of like, Volkanovski went and tried to fight Islam and he still came back down, but that was like, everyone wanted to see it. So it's like, will the UFC actively seek out and let guys like, hey, do you want to be double champ right away? Probably not. But if there's a huge money fight or it's a situation where like Volkanovski, like before Topuria, cleaned out the division, fought everybody twice, it's like, why are we still doing this? Like, we got to mix it up. So, will it be something that happens frequently? I think it'll happen less often, but it's still going to happen.
Yeah, I want to see it. Who doesn't like to see a double champ? Also, what's really getting a lot of views right now is Bo Nickal. He recently got fraud checked, people say. What do you think about that? You still think he's a great fighter? Like, do you think he?
No, I mean, he's good, and I wouldn't say fraud check because you're almost dismissing De Ridder. Like De Ridder, remember, was a double champ in another organization, and he fought tough guys over there too. So it's not, he's not a slouch by any means. And like, obviously, I fought him. I know he's tough. I've trained with him too before and after that. Like, he's a legit guy. So, but as far as like Bo, it's like, he is still more on the inexperienced side as far as MMA is concerned. Like, if you want to talk combat sports writ large, like, yeah, he's been wrestling since he was a kid, right? But it's different. MMA is different by itself, and then UFC is a whole nother level. It's like its own thing almost. So, and here's the other thing with, everyone wants to say fraud check when someone who's undefeated or really, really hyped up, loses, and especially if they lose and, they don't have a lot of good moments. But it's like that happens to even veterans. You know what I mean? Like, I've had losses where I look like shit too. That doesn't mean that anyone's a fraud. It's just you had a bad fight that night. Yeah. It's just, easy to blow it out of proportion when up to this point you looked unstoppable, and then you look human one fight. It's almost worse than being like kind of hit and miss. You know what I mean? People kind of give you a pass more because they're like, oh, we know he's human, so we kind of expect whatever to happen. But when someone gets that treatment, it's it's a lot of praise and it's a lot of hype, but then anything happens, you got to do with the back end of it. So I think he'll be stronger for it, but it's just part of the game.
Yeah. No, I really didn't see how RDR was that big of an underdog, just because, like you said, he has a lot of experience in the MMA world, while Bo, he's kind of new. He is new to the MMA. And I think he was like a plus 300. I didn't really understand that. I had RDR winning, but he won in good fashion. So also, let's talk about you more. You fought a lot. You're a vet. What do you feel like is your most memorable fight?
Man. I mean, I remember the last one the best, but most memorable, the Bruno Silva fight was probably the recently where I looked really good. The Barberena fight was like where my grappling probably looked the best. I was in the most control as of late. I had one fight that was a lot of fun that I think a lot of people haven't seen or don't know about is when I fought Oscar Piota, and that was on the undercard during International Fight Week of when Adesanya and Tavares were the main event. And that's one fight that was like, a little bit back and forth, and I turned it up in the second round and got it finished. That was, probably it would have been a really good one in a stadium, but it was like the first card, and we were fighting at the Palms, which is a really small place. So it was pretty quiet in there, but it was still a good fight.
Yeah. No, you definitely have fought some greats. Speaking about how you have fought some greats, who do you feel like is the best opponent you've ever faced?
I mean, I'm trying to think stats wise and like accolades and stuff. I would think De Ritter's been the best guy, and you could make an argument for Jack Hermanson because I think he was ranked higher at one point in the UFC, but obviously RDR just got in, so it's and I'm sure he'll be ranked higher after last weekend or whatever. But those are the two highest ranking guys that I fought, and that probably have the most, because Renier had 2 belts. Jack was in like the top, not when I fought him, obviously, but after that, he went on to go, I think he was like top 5 or something close to that. It's pretty high out there. But, I fought a lot of tough guys, and, anyone you fight in the UFC is going to be pretty good. So.
What about Khamzat? Khamzat, he's a scary
guy. I kind of forget about that one because I do like not remember after the fight very well. So, but yeah, I guess so he would be the highest ranking one though. Yeah, that wasn't. But see, I always think to myself, and this is my own bias, but like it wasn't much of a fight because he just hit me once and I went to sleep. So that doesn't make it any better for me. But that's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I guess it would be right now. Khamzat would be at the top for accolades, and if you're just going, because if you ask me who's like the biggest guy, like you have to go off of rankings and what other people say. It doesn't matter what I think, right? So Khamzat would for sure be at the top of popularity and rankings and all that, and then it would be like RDR and Hermanson would be pretty close, and De Ritter's got to be pretty close to either of those guys, honestly, right now. So that's those would be the top 3 for sure.
Do you think Khamzat will be the next champ for his weight class?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to see like him and DDP fight. That's interesting because, and I picked Whitaker to win, and I honestly like no one said it, but I wasn't like being a hater or whatever. I just figured Whitaker's really tough. But Khamzat came out, he got the back right away, and I think I would still lean towards DDP, but it's going to be interesting, right? Because Khamzat is so good in that first round or first round and a half. Not that he's bad after that, but like I would, even though everyone says like, oh, Dricus looks goofy or tired or whatever, he is consistent throughout the fight. He doesn't slow down. It looks however it looks, which I understand because I don't look like Mr. Fast Twitch either. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a high pace, but it's a steady pace. So it's like if he tries to get the jump on him, DDP is a big dude and he's dangerous. And from everything I hear, he's pretty strong. And then obviously Khamzat looks like he's unstoppable right now. So that would be an interesting fight to watch. And I would lean a little towards DDP only because everyone always says, oh, Dricus is going to lose. Oh, he doesn't like strike good or whatever it is. And every time he always comes out and surprises everyone and looks really good. And even in his fights with Sean Strickland, like, he won and then he came back and made adjustments and he looked even better. So, we'll see. But Khamzat is dangerous, obviously. Like, of all people that know that, I know that better than anyone. So it'll be really interesting to see that go down and see how that all plays out.
I feel like the only fight where Khamzat, actually looked human was against Kamaru Usman. He was kind of getting a little gassed towards the end of the fight, so that's why I personally would think DDP was going to win. Because if Usman, and then when he fought Gilbert Burns, Gilbert's looked, I think, as good as anybody did, and depending on the commission you have and stuff like that, like that fight was close. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember a lot of people saying that they like kind of gave the nod to Gilbert. You know what I mean? And I haven't watched the fight in a while, but that's another one. So, and that wasn't, that was a little bit longer ago, but it's not like it was that long ago either. So that's, I'm sure Khamzat, though, since then has put on some size, which would help. But again, I've never got to train with him personally, but I was at Killcliff and he had came there before, and everyone said like the dude is really, really big. Obviously, he looks big, but they're like, yeah, he's a really big, strong guy. And I think up to this point, Khamzat has been able to kind of like manhandle everybody and like be the more physically imposing guy. Like, cause he's pretty good size. Like even when I fought him, like he was a little bit
thinner because he was doing a little bit more at 170, but like his frame, he's built like long and decently wide. So it's not like he's a small dude. So it'll be interesting to see him against somebody who's like big. You know what I mean? Like not just a big welterweight or something like that, but like for real big 85er. And not saying that, like Whitaker's not tiny, but he fought at 70 back in the day too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what Khamzat did to Whitaker, I cannot believe. I mean, did you see the photo? I think it was his jaw, right? I think he like dislocated, or he like broke his jaw. I couldn't believe that when I saw that.
Right. And that was interesting too, is like, and not that it wouldn't have worked otherwise, because you get a tight squeeze there, and I always tell guys this: anything below the nose is neck. Like you'll either break the jaw or something, or it'll like press in and actually still kind of choke them. But I remember was it after that, or someone shared a video? It was either just after or just before Whitaker had actually talked about he had like a childhood injury where like his bottom teeth, I don't think they were fake, but it was something about like something happened to him where like he hurt them and had reconstruction or something. So like he already kind of had some kind of pre-existing thing there where it was a little weaker than normal. Now, would that have stopped what happened? Probably not, but it's like interesting, I'm sure that either way the submission would have been finished, but it might not have been so gross. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was not good. As well as I also personally, based off his last performance, I know he said he has a torn ACL Shavkat when he fought Ian Gary. So there's, this is if Belal wins. I personally believe he'll beat JDM. But after that, we're supposed to see him versus Shavkat. I think Belal has it against Shavkat. He just didn't look good his last fight, even though he had a torn ACL, he claimed. I don't know. I just think Belal has that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've trained with both guys. Shavkat was cool. You know what I mean? He was a kill clip a couple times. I was Wonder Boy a little bit for Shavkat before that fight. So there's a little fun fact. But yeah, like obviously I've known Belal forever. Belal's my guy. All the confidence in the world in him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if how much he was injured or how much that played a factor into it. Ian Gary's also a very, very good fighter, and he's very good at following the game plan and making adjustments that he needs to in fights to make it easy. Like especially since the MVP fight, that really impressed me because that guy is hard to deal with, and obviously kind of plays into Ian Gary's benefit being lanky. Because like movement already kind of messes with guys, but when you're also just as long as they are, that kind of makes that game a little bit harder. But just the way he was able to like manage distance and not let him get his looks off like he's done to almost everybody else was very impressive. So I think no matter how healthy or not healthy Shavkat was, that was going to be a difficult fight and probably would have played out similar. But again, I could be wrong. I wasn't like in his camp or I hadn't seen him before that fight. So, but to your point, like Shavkat's really good. He's an emphatic finisher, generally speaking, like except against Ian, but it's really hard to do anything to Belal, especially when he's in shape for a fight. Like that guy goes into a different gear and it's it's a handful. So I would still pick Belal on that.
Yeah, I like Belal. His last performance against Leon Edwards was amazing. Also, Sean Brady's last performance against Leon Edwards, that was not even a fight, I personally think. I mean, Sean Brady outstruck Leon, I think it was like 230 to 23. That was no good. But I mean,
not good for Leon anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, no good. I can't believe that. So me and my friend were debating about this. Who do you think? I mean, all right. So Shavkat's obviously getting the title shot before Sean Brady, right? You think that's correct?
I would think so, but man, UFC and MMA move so quickly, and I think it all honestly depends on like who is gonna move more tickets and pay-per-views and get more hype. So I don't know. They said Shavkat was gonna get it. I feel like usually you should honor your word, but if it's one of those things where something happens and he's like, I need a little more time or whatever, they might say, okay, well, you still get the next title shot when you're ready, but that doesn't mean you're going to be the next person fighting for the title, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I I mean, I said Sean Brady. My friend said Shavkat. Shavkat would probably get more pay-per-view sales because the guy in his last couple fights does not look human. So, I mean,
I don't know, man. Sean Brady's still pretty popular, and like if they have it on the East Coast somewhere, like if they want to make, or even if they had like a pay-per-view in Chicago and they have Belal and Sean Brady headlining, like you do also have to wager in like where it is and the ticket sales and that kind of stuff. Like that could also be very lucrative. And again, it kind of depends on where Shavkat is in his recovery. If he's still got a while and they're like, well, we're going to you're still getting the title fight no matter what, but it might be one of these other, like, we're going to give this guy a shot while you're on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're both great. I would like to see Sean Brady versus Shavkat, but they obviously wouldn't do that against two big contenders like that. Either way, if it's in Chicago, I'm going to try to go. I'll apply for media. So also a big fight coming up. I'm not really a big fan of this matchup, Merab versus Sean, the second fight. I feel like Merab was way too dominant in his last fight to have a rematch so subtle or so soon, I meant. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Well, he fought Sean and he fought Umar, and those were the clear guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how soon it is, but it's like I know Sandhagen just fought.
Yeah, but Peter Yan though.
Yeah, but has Peter Yan fought Merab?
I think he has fought to him. I think he went to decision. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's like that's the thing is Merab's kind of because Merab did not fight Aljo and was like that's my guy. I'm not doing that. He basically ran through everybody else and then the guys that he hadn't. You know what I'm saying? On the way to the belt. So Sean can still, I would imagine what they're thinking is Sean can still move pay-per-views. And he's been like, such a great asset to us. Let's give him a chance and be like, hey, you say X, Y, and Z happened and that wasn't you or whatever. Well, okay, we'll back you on that and like give you another shot to, have a good showing of yourself and see if you can't make something happen. But I think in absence of a clear, and I've seen a lot of people say this, in absence of a clear contender, it doesn't, because the last fight Sean had was like, yeah, he lost to Merab, and it wasn't, he lost by decision. He didn't really get hurt. Like nobody was bloodied up. Like obviously he got, dominated as far as like where the fight went and all that stuff. But I don't remember him having any serious injuries. So I could see why they made that decision. But that's one of those things when you have a guy that's like Merab and he's so dominant and you already have him fight everybody. There's not really a lot of guys left.
Yeah, I don't think Sean liked my question. I don't know if you saw someone asked him about Dana White privilege. I asked him that question. He didn't like that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
He just gave Dana White a fist bump. He said, thanks, Dana. He gave him a fist bump. I don't know. I thought it was funny. But as well as my guy, I was supposed to do training with him today. Unfortunately, we're going to do it next week. He had to cancel. Pantoja, he might be fighting Kai Kara France. I'm not sure yet. I'm not confirming anything. How do you feel like that would go?
I would still pick Pantoja in that one for sure. Kai is tough. Kai is dangerous. But I know Kai didn't. He lost to Moreno once. I think he might have fought him twice.
I know he lost once. I know he lost.
Yeah. But MMA math doesn't always work out. But then Pantoja looked good against Moreno, or as good as anyone. Yeah. So it's like, you know what I mean. I wouldn't pick against Pantoja, but Kai Kara France is also comes from really good striking gym. He's always game. And when you aren't afraid to throw down, there's always a chance you catch somebody. Yeah. And if he did get in there and got the belt, that'd be a good, as far as matchmaking concerns, it'd be a good way to mix things up. But I would take Pantoja in that for sure.
Yeah. Like just the thing about that though, I personally believe that Kai Asakura is the best striker in that division, and the knee that Pantoja took to the head and just ate it. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, besides Marlon Vera. But that knee to the head against Asakura, I don't feel like Kai Kara France is going to get that big of a shot like that. So that's why I think Pantoja, personally, I think he's going to win by submission.
Yeah. No, and that's not that Kai can't crack, but like no one can punch as hard as someone can knee. Yeah. But like he still hits hard and he throws enough clean shots where it's like if he could catch him like when he's not ready, or he thinks he slipped on out of range and he catches him. Like everyone's got a puncher's chance of 4-ounce gloves.
Mm-hmm. Another big one. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, Alex Pereira tweeted that he somewhat was going to retire, and then 30 minutes later, he said he got hacked. Do you think he really got hacked, or what do you think happened there?
I don't know. I would tend to believe that he got hacked or something was wrong, because he's doesn't seem like a guy that would release something like that. And he also doesn't seem like a guy that would release something like that and then try to play cleanup afterwards just for controversy. Yeah. So I would, I don't know if it was necessarily hacked or someone got on his stuff and was like, I'm going to be funny, and didn't realize that, like, for better or worse, the MMA community will take that shit seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who knows what happened with that? But yeah, I never heard him ever express anything about being done. Not that I know him any better than anybody else, but I also, like, for someone to suggest, like, oh, the UFC doesn't like him, and be like, the guy took all these short notice big title fights and made all these cards. Like, yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
I don't know. The only thing about that I feel like he wouldn't, I feel like either him or maybe like his manager or someone tweeted that, just because the way it was so professionally wrote, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm retiring now. Just that the fact that he was expressing that he was upset by, I think, something the UFC offered to him. I feel like if someone gets hacked, they're usually, they would say a lot more crazy stuff than that. So, that's why I personally think it was him.
Yeah. Well, when people say hack too, like, to your point, like, if someone legitimately, like, actually hacked and got the password somehow, or like put a virus in there, that would be like something nuts. But I think when he says hacked, like, someone took his thing and, like, maybe he could have said something that, like, kind of hinted in that direction, just like not being serious, but just like, oh, whatever. And then they, like, put that in there, like, oh, I know he would never do this, but I'm going to say something, when it was like, nothing all along. And he was just either venting or just, like, talking shit with his buddies. And then someone took his phone and put it on there. And it's like, hey man, I didn't want you to do that. Like, I was just talking to you, talking mess. And now I got to deal with this.
Mm-hmm. And then my final question for kind of like the popular stuff, 100 men versus 1 gorilla. Who do you think would win that fight?
I keep seeing this. And then there's so many different categories of person where they're like, like fighters, and then even on like RC, and those got the football players, and they're like, I'm getting 100 dogs, like big linemen and stuff. And it's like, I'm not saying, like, math wise, like, could 100 people theoretically beat a gorilla? They could, if you take emotion completely out of the equation. And so, because this is the thing, you'd have to have, like, max was like 5-6 guys max at a time could attack a gorilla, right? Yeah, without getting in each other's way. Mm-hmm. The problem is, you got to convince the first 3 to 4 waves of people to be okay with either dying or getting seriously injured, like you don't walk for the rest of your life. Yeah. And then the other, like, whatever people are left, like the 70, 80 people left, like, hey, you're going to have to watch these guys get eviscerated and literally ripped apart by this gorilla, not, like, lose your shit and still go attack it afterwards. Because this is the thing. One of the ways that a lot of, archaeologists and paleontologists think that people back in the day survived a lot is we sweat. So a lot of animals don't produce sweat. They have to breathe, which means, like, all these animals are faster than us, right? Like a deer. You could chase a deer, it's going to get away in a short burst. But if you were in, like, a plane or something and you chase a deer over and over, even if it runs really far away, it can only run really far away, so much before it starts, like, literally getting so tired that it won't run anymore or it'll die. Yeah. So it's like a person, we run marathons. You could literally, like, run for hours. And, like, even at a slow pace, like, it would suck, but you could do it. Mm-hmm. An animal will literally die. Just like a gorilla, it's like the first few waves of people, like, they're literally going to tear your arms off of your body. They will bite through your face and crush your skull, like, literally swat you once and you'll die. But eventually it will get tired enough that he literally won't be able to move or fight back. And then you could theoretically beat it to death or choke it unconscious. But the problem is you have to convince like 20 guys like, hey, you're probably going to die, but take one for the team. So like numbers wise, yeah, but in a realistic setting with no weapons, you're not convincing 20 people to die unless you get some weird like group of people that happens to have like 20 nutcases that are like, oh, I'll survive, I'll be fine. And then you just see his head turn into mist.
Yeah. I think the 100 people will win. I feel like this definitely happened, a long time ago. And I mean,
it happened a long time ago, but they had weapons. Like if you have spears and you run it down, or even like rocks or something, then yeah, I'm picking people all day. But you have literally nothing. You would have to hope that the gorilla is scared and runs from you so much that it gets tired.
I think it's to the death.
Well, but I'm saying like it's to the death, but that doesn't mean they got to stand and fight right away. Like you're just in this big open whatever room. If you chase it and it runs from you, or you get close enough that it comes at you, but you can get out of the way and tire it out first, then maybe no one will get like, maybe no one will die and you'll just have like a mangled arm or something. But again, you got to convince somebody, multiple people, be like, hey, you guys go together, and like someone's got to attack it first.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they're complete idiots, it's like, hey, go die. Go jump off a cliff right now.
100 people, though, 100 people. I don't care if there's no weapons. 100 people versus, I understand the gorilla. I would say the first 15 people just get smushed. I say probably first 30. But the thing about the gorilla, I heard they get really tired quickly. I
agree with you, but this is the thing. This is the thing. I 100% agree with that, but this is the thing. All right, you go first.
No,
you see what I'm saying? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, though. You can't be like, oh, the other people will do that. No, you are a person of that 100. If they, like, do whatever, like, if you do it democratic, like, we're going to draw straws and you get the short straw, you going to go attack that fucking thing? I sure as hell ain't.
I think it's like what if you have to, like either you do it or someone's going to kill you. You know what I mean? It's like
Well, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, like Roman times where like they put you in what's it called? The Coliseum. You have to fight 100 men or 100 people or it's that one gorilla. I'm taking the 100 people any day of the week.
No, okay, but if you're on the 100 people team and the 99 people say you go fight the gorilla first, now what? Are you going to fight the gorilla or try to fight the people?
Well, no, you can't do that. You can't. No, that's not the question.
You're a human being. You have agency. You're not just a robot. That's what I'm saying.
No, but
and yes, 99 people could.
In this situation,
people,
you have to be a robot.
Well, no, but I'm saying you're not a robot in the sense of you have free will and a conscience. Like if 99 people,
you're just a fighting machine. You're just a fighting machine. All you're there is for fighting.
That's not the same question. You said 100 people.
Yeah, but like. It's like you have to fight. Like it's not like 100 people that don't really want to fight. It's like you have to.
Okay, so Jaiden, you go first. You see what I'm saying? You see where we run into problems?
I mean,
that's my only issue is you got to convince 5 to 20 of these people to be like, oh yeah, go ahead, you go first. I'll be right behind you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. What about a hippo? 100 people versus one hippo.
Hippos are slow, but they will mess you up. Like you bet. Well, first of all,
real quick, let's see what ChatGPT says.
If it's not near water, you have a chance, but you better really.
Yeah. Who wins in a fight? 100. I'll say 100 men or one hippo. See what it says. It says in almost every realistic scenario, one hippo wins. Wow, that's crazy.
Hippo's dangerous, dude.
What about one gorilla? It says a gorilla versus 100 unarmed men is still almost certainly a win for the 100 men.
But again, ask ChatGPT how you convince those first 20 guys to die.
All right, let's.
That's all I want to know.
What if the first couple people are not convinced to die? Let's see what chat you. If the first wave of people aren't willing to die or seriously take risk, the gorilla absolutely dominates the fight. That's what it says.
There you go. So
right.
you better hope out of those 100 you got at least 5 psychopaths.
Yeah, I mean, you just give him drugs or something. I don't know. Give him something, I guess.
Yeah.
We gotta have that. I'll take that. But I guess that wraps it up. I appreciate this. Thank you.